3 years ago, Jason Arday made history, becoming Cambridge University's youngest ever black professor. But earlier this month, he was at the centre of a plagiarism row. And last week, he quit his role with immediate effect.
A few days ago, I started seeing multiple videos criticizing a certain individual. With the way he presented himself, I thought he was trans at first, and I wondered what this trans person had done to anger the online right this time. One video that particularly caught my attention was from Arday and Preach, and it was titled Total Fraud. I typically watched Arday and Preach, but this particular video did not appeal to me, so I swiped it off every time it appeared in my YouTube feed. YouTube kept recommending it to me, but I still did not watch it. I wasn't ready to be rage-baited with culture war bullshit. A few days after the recommendations began, I saw the news announcing the death of this same person.
Jason Arday, who was Cambridge University's youngest black professor ever, has been found dead a week after he resigned amid plagiarism allegations. Investigators say the circumstances of the 41-year-old's death do not appear to be suspicious.
Now, I was curious. This guy's face had been all over the news, being criticized, dragged, and attacked, and now he's been found dead. It immediately occurred to me that he must have killed himself. But why? So I decided to watch Arday and Preach's video about him. I found out that he was a professor at Cambridge University who went by the name of Jason Arday. Arday had of late been accused of plagiarism in a PhD thesis, a charge he denied. From what I understood, he resigned from Cambridge University as a result of the pressure from the accusation. That, however, was not enough, as he kept being hounded by the media about aspects of his life unrelated to academia. According to Arday and Preach, Jason Arday was Cambridge's youngest black professor at 37, and he claimed to have achieved that feat despite serious challenges growing up, such as being unable to speak until he was 11 and being unable to read or write until he was 18. The video further revealed that he claimed to be a gifted snooker player and an academy-level football player who competed semi-professionally. The video went on to say that he survived a devastating car crash in Staines that left him comatose for several months, and he had to relearn how to walk and talk. He then beat cancer and so forth. Arday concluded his analysis of Arday's life by saying,
"Against all odds, he rose to become the youngest black professor in the history of University of Cambridge and a tireless advocate for students who saw themselves as lesser than because they were different." That is who Jason Arday is. And he's also a pathological liar and a plagiarist.
All the claims made by Arday and Preach about Jason's life seemed surreal, and it was as if he deserved all the harassment for making things up about his life. So, who's responsible for Arday's death? I have identified at least 4 things responsible for Arday's death. I will highlight these 4 things, then rank them based on my understanding of their respective impacts. The 4 things I believe to be responsible for Arday's death are media pressure, Arday's lies, racism, and virtue signaling by various academic institutions. Let's start with media pressure. Within 9 days, Jason Arday faced unrelenting media pressure relating to the allegations of plagiarism. For context, there were 188 articles critical of Jason Arday published by various news outlets such as The Telegraph, The Times, The Sunday, The Daily Mail. They were published with such biting titles like Cambridge's Diversity Poster Board in Plagiarism Row. This was the first of many hyperbolic titles about Arday's case that came out in the space of 9 days. To add to it, there were commentary by numerous online influencers, including on YouTube and on other social media sites.
We'll begin with, of course, the tragic news from Friday afternoon that Professor Jason Arday had been found dead at his home. The 41-year-old academic had been at the centre of a media storm for nearly 3 weeks, one that relentlessly raked over every aspect of his academic career and personal biography. The organisation News Corps has mapped the scale of the scrutiny Arday was placed under. So almost 250 articles were published about Arday, and with the Times and Sunday Times and the Telegraph publishing over 40 each. The Daily Mail published just under 40, with The Independent, The Spectator and The Guardian publishing around 20 each. That excludes breaking news alerts, social media posts and radio and TV slots dedicated to the story.
It is not unreasonable to think that the pressures of these attacks became simply too hard to bear that Arday opted to take his own life. People close to him reported how shaken he was by the media frenzy and how he had lost tremendous weight while also refusing to leave the house.
On Channel 4 on Friday, Jason Arday's friend and fellow academic Kahindi Andrews spoke about the impact all that coverage had.
What was his frame of mind, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I spoke to him on Monday, we had dinner, and I texted him over the week. And it was very clear that he was overwhelmed, he was upset, he was depressed. He couldn't see a way out because of this avalanche of stories. 188 stories on Jason Arday. It's a mob. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. And he just couldn't see, he didn't want to leave the house. When I saw him on Monday, he had lost lots of weight. He was clearly damaged by all this scrutiny and speculation around him.
So, in a sense, the media does share some blame in this tragedy. The man had resigned. What else did they need from him? His life? But the thing is, stories like this sell. They energize bad actors and activate sympathizers, leading to clicks, and clicks lead to revenue for news outlets and commentators. This perverse monetary incentive has in part led to a young man losing his life. The second thing I blame for Arday's death were his lies. When I started writing the script, I was a lot more sympathetic to Arday. My opinion was that extreme media rhetoric drove him over the edge. But as I began to research the media claims to get the facts straight, I started to see that most of the things Arday was criticized for were actually valid. Some of the extraordinary claims about his life seem to fall under the weight of the lateless scrutiny. For example, some of his classmates and neighbors disputed the claim that he couldn't speak until he was 11, one stating, "He spoke all the time." This leaves room for reasonable doubts. Another claim which seemed untrue was his claim that at age 21, he went to Brazil on a relief mission with an organization and installed water pumps for poor communities in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro with a charity water aid. The charity, when contacted, confirmed that they did not send volunteers abroad. There were a plethora of things, but this should suffice to make my point. But what particularly bothered me about Arday was his response to criticism. He was quick to invoke racism and ableism while accusing his critics of harassment and bullying. As an example, when David Harris, a professor at Plymouth Marjon University, emailed him to inquire about similarities between sentences in his 2018 Social Sciences article and another article published earlier than his, he responded with, "Instead of spending your time trying to dismantle racism and ableism, you have spent what I assume is hours combing through my work looking for mistakes. Any further from you will be considered bullying and harassment." Arday subsequently contacted the police to report Harris for harassment. I find this a very odd response to an academic inquiry into your work. Academics build credibility through peer review. If you're not ready to have your work thoroughly reviewed by others, perhaps you shouldn't be in academia. Another example was when a reporter from Times Higher Education investigated his alleged plagiarism in 2025 and contacted Arday for a response. Arday replied not with clarifications, but with a letter from a legal firm specializing in libel. Then, in his usual fashion, he made a complaint about the reporter to the Met Police, alleging the reporter's harassment was affecting his mental health. These two incidents reflect very poorly on Arday and were the major reasons I reversed my opinions on the issue concerning his death. He seemed like someone who was too willing to avoid criticism by claiming bad faith by others. He also seemed like someone who abused state power and institutions by contacting the police for academic and journalistic requests. Is it possible that Jason had people questioning his competence over the years, which made him very suspicious of the motive of people questioning his work? It's possible, and if that were the case, some of his actions are understandable. However, for record's sake, he should have responded to some of those queries, to put it to bed and refer further queries to his previous response. If after that they kept bothering him, then it would be justified to report to the authorities for harassment. But it seems unlikely that Arday ever did that. In my opinion, there are some truths to whatever extraordinary claims Arday made about his life, but it also seemed clear that he did exaggerate some of these claims to his benefit. Institutions should have been more diligent in verifying these claims before accepting them as factual. The next thing I believe contributed to Arday's death is racism. Although inquiry and criticism of Arday's work preceded this year's episode was brought on by an avowed racist and eugenicist by the person of Nathan Kofnas. This is the man who was fired by Cambridge because of racist remarks he previously made about Black people. In his opinion, he believes that Black people are intellectually inferior and, if not for diversity programs, would have no place in higher echelons of academia. The article he wrote on Substack about Jason Arday set off the firestorm that led to this renewed critique and Jason's subsequent death. It seems clear that he was motivated to prove Black people's incompetence, and Jason happened to be the one he could easily find dirt on to make his case. hence he went on the offensive. He also did it out of a desire for revenge for his firing. He stated as much on video.
Well, maybe the lesson is this: what's happened if you don't give Kaufness a job, right?
Yeah, you got your own ways to retaliate. What are you going to do, do you think? You going to finish your PhD? Or no, you've already finished it. You're just going to...
No, I finished a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, so what are you going to do?
Well, I have the job currently, and I'm still waiting for the revolution to happen, and then
it's going to take a while.
Get another job. After the revolution, I'll be the head of the Department of Eugenics and Race Science at Harvard.
It is therefore clear that Nathan's actions weren't motivated by academic inquiry, but a racist takedown of Black people using Arday as a scapegoat. The last and perhaps most insidious thing that killed Jason was the morbid virtue signaling by various academic institutions who awarded Jason positions that he seemed not qualified for, all in a bid to put a band-aid on the systemic problem of Black underrepresentation in British academia. Instead of fixing whatever issues were responsible for such extreme disparity, they chose the easy route of tokenizing a Black man to appear to be progressive. For example, Arday did not receive adequate supervision while developing his PhD thesis. This is quite out of the norm for such a rigorous academic activity. Why was he not supervised properly? What unique abilities did he possess that made them so trusting of the work he put out without proper supervision? Why was the work that resulted from such a flawed academic process accepted? I believe that part of the reason Cambridge and other academic institutions acted differentially to Arday is that he had already achieved some positive media notoriety. Arday's media status did good for Cambridge's image, and they used him for it. If he didn't quite cut it, then he didn't quite cut it. His subpar work should not have been patched up and carried on as though it was excellent. It was only after this outrage that various institutions began setting up panels to look into how Arday could have been employed into senior positions for which he seemed not qualified. This is medicine after death. These institutions, in looking for a quick fix for a problem, have created bigger problems. Black academics should not be given a crutch. It undermines them and insults their intelligence. Let things fall where they may, and if that means no Black professors at Cambridge, then so be it, so long as it did not result from structural issues that prevented Black people from attaining such positions. Lastly, I think there is something very broken about British society and how it handles the occurrence of racism and discrimination. Case in point, when Arday made a harassment complaint after a reporter asked questions about his work, the police, instead of doing due diligence to evaluate his claims, asked the reporter to desist from ever contacting Arday. The commissioner of the Met Police later acknowledged that the complaint about the reporter should not have been taken forward and admitted, "We dropped the ball on that one. Let's not beat around the bush." You dropped the ball? Why? Because you did not want to be inconvenienced by accusations of racism by a Black person? This is in itself racist and plays into the delusions of right-wing bad actors who will spin this as discrimination in favor of Black people. This is a problem that needs to be addressed before it metastasizes further. In my opinion, the Met Police Commissioner should be fired for gross negligence. The law should be applied without sentiment and without regard to anyone's feelings, especially when it is applied rightly and justly. Black people should not be coddled so as not to appear racist. In summary, I hold Jason Arday and the various academic institutions, including Cambridge, most responsible for his death. And if he did kill himself over this, then his final act was one of brazen emotional blackmail. The lessons I hope come out of this are as follows. The media shouldn't hound someone relentlessly. People shouldn't make things up about their lives. Racism and racists should be challenged at every turn, and the authorities need to stand up and uphold the law justly, irrespective of appearances.